Hi guys, it's Carissa and it is time for my week 35 video. I am getting to a point now where I'm just finding myself in sort of a calm denial. It's the strangest thing. I don't know if you have been pregnant yourself. I don't want anyone to take offense to this. I don't really know why you would, but I don't know what it is, but I feel like I've noticed about a lot of pregnant women that they have this very sort of centered, quiet calm to them towards the end. And when I was having trouble conceiving, I would always kind of read that as them not being excited enough, you know, like, oh, aren't you so excited? But now that I'm in that position, I completely understand it. And it's this weird sort of Zen thing that your body, I mean, I'm not trying to say that everyone gets this, but I feel like I've witnessed this happen to so many women, and now I'm feeling it, and it's so weird. It's just this very strange calm that I can't control. Because I feel like I've had so much to worry about and so much to stress about, but ultimately I'm really not that worried or stressed, and I just feel very centered, which is really, I'm really grateful for it, because I have all along been terrified that I'm gonna die during labor. I don't know why. I think it's because we struggled for so long that I just feel like this is too good to be true, so something has to go wrong, and for some reason that was the thing that I decided was going to be the issue. So I do still have a little bit of that going on. I still worry about that a lot, and I try not to bring it up a lot and be morbid, but it's definitely always there in the back of my mind. I don't know. But as far as just day-to-day life and being prepared and feeling frantic, that stuff just sort of, it's coming together, I guess. And I'm not really that much more prepared than I was like a week ago, but I feel like that's something that I've been experiencing. Please let me know if you know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to sound crazy. Another thing is that I've noticed, you know, just to add to my list of irrational fears, or not even that irrational, but I think because everything seems too good to be true and it's falling into place almost a little bit too well, I'm starting to feel nervous that I'm disconnecting mentally and emotionally from the experience. It's not that I'm not happy or excited, but I think that because things are going so well, I don't know how to process it. Because I've only ever really had bad news when it comes to this, and all along things just keep progressing well, and it's the weirdest thing to say, that it's hard to continually hear good news because you're always still worried for bad news. And I think being protective and already, you know, feeling like a parent, and I want everything to go well. But as a precaution, just because I know it's very real and it's something that happens to women, I am a little bit nervous about postpartum depression. I feel like that sounds crazy. Like, how could you possibly experience that now that you're in this amazing position? I'm just trying to give myself a little bit of insurance as far as that's concerned, because I don't think I'll get it, but I'm scared of not being ready for it if it were to occur. And I would definitely seek as much help as possible. I would pinpoint it instantly. I'm planning to really make sure that Mike is aware to be watching for things if I just don't seem like myself one way or another. And one of the major things that I feel I should do to try and combat that, just again, it's a safety net, because who knows? You never know. So it's best to be prepared. I am planning to have my placenta encapsulated. So I just made initial contact for that, and I just have to get my deposit and my agreement paperwork out, and I am hoping that that will help. Also, I'm really hoping that will help with milk supply. That's like at least 60% of why I'm doing it. But the thing that really helps, because you don't know what your milk supply is going to be like, or what your capabilities will be, or if your baby will latch. You don't know what your breastfeeding hurdles will be. So that alone wasn't enough for me to justify paying to have it encapsulated. But knowing that it really also is supposed to help prevent postpartum depression or symptoms of postpartum depression, I really want to that justifies the cost. So between those two things, I'm happy to do it. I've read a lot of horror stories and even heard a lot of horror stories about how difficult hospitals can make it for you sometimes to just take your placenta home. So now I feel that I have to write a birth plan out to include that so that they're expecting it. And it'll be very, very short, but there are a couple of topics that I think that I should cover anyway, just as far as what our wishes are. If there's anything that you wish you had said, especially regarding your baby once the baby is born, or things that aren't typically covered on birth plans, please let me know. I would love any guidance on that. I'm not feeling too strict about any of it, honestly, other than wanting to take my placenta and wanting as much skin-to-skin contact as soon as possible. So I don't want to get my hopes up that I'm going to believe that one thing is, likely to be the case and then it wouldn't work out. I also am the kind of person who, I've told you guys, I'm a really easygoing patient, and unless something's really, really wrong and really against, something's like dangerous for me or the baby, I would really trust them more than my own decision on a lot of those things. But I'm glad I took that step to get that started. I also had deposits down for birth photography and newborn photography, but I did cancel my birth photos because of the potential of a C-section. And I don't know if I'll regret that or not. I also just don't know that I even want birth photos. I want photos of the baby once she's here, but I don't need pictures of me sweating and having like 4 chins, and I don't know. I don't know that I really need that. So I'm putting the money that I would have spent towards birth photos on the placenta encapsulation. So I think that works out. I also am losing my voice again, apparently. So I'm going to try and make this short. I haven't even gotten to my full list yet. So I guess it's a nice segue into week 35. I started to get sick. I don't know if it was a coincidence. I don't know if I got sick because my nieces were sick, and I hadn't seen them in a while because they'd been sick for a few weeks. I'm kind of passing it back and forth. But one night I went over there after they were feeling a little better, and I don't know if that caused it or if it just happened to be when I started to get a sinus infection, which is unrelated. That's not, catch those. But I tend to get them, especially if I'm not eating low carb. So, and I've been careful most of the time. I didn't have actual cold symptoms. I didn't feel like I had a cold, but I was coughing non-stop. The main reason that became a huge issue, not only just because coughing sucks, but it's because it was joined by some pretty serious incontinence. Now, this is not a pregnancy thing. I know a lot of women experience it after pregnancy, but I'm pretty well known for this, for getting a sinus infection, and it makes me cough so hard that I either gag and or pee. And it's really awful. It's really disruptive. I feel like my whole life comes to a screeching halt because I basically want to be like sitting on a bucket for how much I pee. And I do Kegels. I'm obese, so my pelvic floor is weak because the majority of my weight is in my stomach. So until I lose a significant amount of weight, I will continue to have that problem. And I may even need surgery to correct, for muscle repair in that area in the future. But for the 2-ish years that I was doing low carb, which is the diet that the ketogenic diet that led up to me being able to get pregnant, I didn't have this happen. I think it happened last fall because I had just gotten over that other pregnancy, and I wasn't on my diet then. That was going on in week 35, especially towards the beginning of week 35. So I was having to wear pads for that, and I had to buy I hate maternity underwear. It sucks. Unless there's better stuff out there that I don't know about, I hate trying to tuck something under my belly. Oh, it's so uncomfortable. So, and it just falls because I don't have any, my thighs are getting bigger from pregnancy, but I don't have any thighs. So if it's big, but it's just sitting under my belly, it just falls. There's nothing to hold it there. So I went to Target and I bought the largest size of briefs that they make in just regular underwear. I went up 3 or 4 sizes from what I normally wear, and I can pull those suckers way up over my belly. They're not tight or uncomfortable at all. And that's what I was using to wear pads to, you know, prevent peeing all over my entire life. Another thing I noticed is that I think the coughing was annoying the baby. I felt so bad. I was disrupting her whole life by coughing. I feel like after a real good coughing fit every now and then, she'd start like really churning around in there, like she was like shaking her fist at me like, knock it off. It was like the baby equivalent of hitting the ceiling with a broom when somebody's making too much noise in the apartment above you. So I felt really bad about that, but I think we're on the tail end of the issue now. I just don't have a voice, apparently. This went all the way up to Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was is when it broke, I think. And here's why. I planned this so poorly. I started my maternity leave as of Thanksgiving Day. So the day before Thanksgiving, I sent out the last of my shipments and my orders, and I had closed my Etsy shop down. There was nothing left for me to do work-wise, so that I could focus on just relaxing and preparing my home and my life for this baby. And I think that my body just kind of breathed a big sigh of relief and just let me get sick. Just like let the sickness, I got down with the sickness. And it was at that point sort of where coughing became excruciating because my stomach muscles were just so worn out and tired from the coughing. And my stomach muscles are already all like rearranged in there, so they feel even more strained and weird from the coughing and all the aching. So the combination of that and just not really having an appetite and feeling like if I ate or drank the wrong thing, it'd send me into a coughing fit and nobody would want to be around me anyway. We called it a real early night on Thanksgiving. We came home, we left before dessert was served. We came home and went to bed pretty early, which I needed, and that's fine. I'm one of those people that Thanksgiving's like, I appreciate the sentiment of it, but I'm not a huge fan of the food. And I basically just want stuffing or dressing, whatever you call it. That's basically all I want to eat is stuffing with gravy. Everything else is just there. So I can make that anytime. They sell that all year. I can make that anytime. So Thanksgiving's more about seeing my family and, you know, reflecting on what I have to be thankful for, which this year I've never been more thankful in my life. So that was really nice. I also started noticing early in week 35, and it kind of continued throughout, it's still going on, that I was feeling movements just above my belly button. Now, again, that's lower than what I would have expected if she was flipped, but it's higher than I've ever felt movement before. And I was also feeling movement way down low. So to me, I thought, well, that's her arms. And I am spitting so much tonight. I feel like Daffy Duck. I'm sorry if you can see just the fountains of spit coming out of my mouth. I don't know what's going on right now. Let me just get through this. What was I saying? Something about spit. Oh, so yeah, I was feeling movements like about 2 inches above my belly button and in the belly button range. And she was very responsive. Sort of if I like pressed or held my stomach there at all, she would move and sort of push back. And that was sort of new. I don't think that that's really happened much, hardly at all. I've told you guys about sort of like jostling my belly around to get her to move, but as far as sort of pushing where I feel like I'm feeling movement and having her respond, that was new. So I just assumed that was her hands, but it turns out it was probably her feet. Oh my gosh, you guys, put on a raincoat. I can't believe how much I'm spinning right now. What, is my mouth okay? The last day of week 35, I had my monthly NST, so every 4 weeks I was getting a non-stress test, and this is just a precautionary measure in case I develop preeclampsia or the baby is affected by my blood pressure in any way. And that was a standing appointment that I had scheduled also with an ultrasound to check her growth and make sure she's progressing well. And I talked a little bit about my last visit in a previous video, but I had the same woman again as the last time. She seemed a lot more relaxed. I think she was having a bad day the first time I went in there, but I don't know. But she was very nice, and we were running the stress test, or the non-stress test, and she was talking to me quite a bit. And then at one point she started to seem sort of annoyed and concerned with the numbers on the screen because we weren't getting the activity spikes like we needed. And the baby hadn't really been moving much that morning, so I knew she was probably sleeping. Well, she used the little buzzer thing, which last time worked like a charm. It barely worked this time. I don't even remember if something else, she didn't try it again, I don't believe. Maybe we just kind of pushed on my stomach, I'm not sure. But at some point you could tell she had woken up and she started moving. But prior to that, she didn't really explain. See, here's the problem. My blood pressure is very, very, very sensitive to my emotions. And if I start to get stressed or worried, I have an instant spike in my blood pressure. So right as she's sort of looking at these charts and like ripping the paper and saying, I'm going to go show him meaning the doctor in the office that I didn't know even worked there, she was just sort of being very vague. And I was getting real close, and I'm not like this at all. I was getting real close to saying, can you please explain to me what's going on, because I'm starting to worry. So then she decides to check my blood pressure, of course, and it was elevated. It was 128 over 90, I think. So, but she didn't seem to care about that. In my regular doctor's office, that means go to the hospital, but she was like, whatever. But I don't know if me getting stressed did something, but then the baby started moving and we were getting great spikes. And the last like 5 minutes I was hooked to the machine, it was all like off the chart how it's supposed to be. So I did pass the NST, and then I went in for my ultrasound. Also, I should mention, she found her heartbeat instantly. The very first spot she put the little probe, we could hear it. So that was such a relief, because you guys know I don't have a good history with that lately. But I went into the ultrasound, and here's the thing. I was kind of in this weird fog when I went in there. I don't know if it was because I was coming down from getting stressed during the NST. It was not a non-stress test for me, that's for sure. But the first thing she said was, oh, baby's head down, that's good. And then she was looking around some more. Now, her spine was facing out again, so I didn't get to see her face again. Her face will be a complete mystery to us, but yeah, she was head down, I guess she said. But I think because of what I was seeing on the screen, I think I assumed she meant what is that? I always forget the difference between the anterior and the posterior, but I think the spine out, I guess, is what I thought she was referring to. And I was like, I don't know why that's good, but okay. Because I know that that's the direction she's supposed to be in for birth, but if she's not head down, which is that's the difference. If she's not head down, that doesn't matter, but that's what she was referring to, not the direction of her that she was facing. So, but Mike wasn't in the room with me. He couldn't make it to that ultrasound. It was the first one I went to without him in quite a while. So I think I just kind of, it didn't connect, the information she gave me. She did say that my fluid levels were low. My amniotic fluid was on the low side, is all she said. She didn't give me numbers or specifics. And then when she went to go talk to him, which is the great and powerful Oz of this place, I guess, because he just hides behind a curtain somewhere. But she said he wanted me to come back in a week. So I get to see her again in a week, which is exciting. I also have to start having my NSTs weekly now, because I'm past the 36-week mark now. So I'll be going back next week for both of those, but I don't think I'll get another ultrasound before the end, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. She said that she was 5 pounds, 5 ounces, which I was surprised by. I thought she would have been bigger than that. And she may be. I know those measurements aren't accurate, but she said she's in the 30th percentile. So she went down quite a bit from where she was before. She was hovering around the 50% mark. And I did have an appointment with my OB the next day, but that was technically week 36. So I'll talk about all that stuff in my week 36 video, because there was quite a bit involved in that. Not really. It was just, I don't know. It was week 36, so I'll save it. But I thought I'd share a couple of really sweet things that Mike said. I don't even know how it came up, but one day, I don't know, he's very sweet and romantic, but not verbally most of the time. He's more like physically affectionate. So we were sitting in the living room one night, and I don't remember how this came up, but he just said that he hopes the baby has my eyes, which was really sweet. And then he said, actually, I hope she has your whole face. I hope she doesn't have any of my face, which I don't agree with at all. I love his face. And he really got me one night. He's been a lot more directly interacting with my belly. He touches it a lot, and he rests his head on it a lot, and oh, there's a bus outside my house. That's weird. Oh, that's a UPS truck. That's not weird at all. That happens every day. Thanks, Amazon. But one night we were sitting on the couch, and he had rested his head on my belly, and he was talking to her, and he was telling her how much he couldn't wait to hold her. I thought it was really sweet, and it just all feels so great right now. Everything is just so wonderful. It just feels too good to be true. We're really, really lucky, and we don't forget it for a second. I try and tell myself that the lack of sleep will remind me that it's not too good to be true. It's very true, and it's all very real, and that I'm gonna be just fine. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna make it to get to hold her myself. I don't know what that is. I don't know why I've been doing that to myself so badly. But this whole time, I mean, pretty much since, like, I don't know, week 12 almost, I think my fears shifted from her not sticking around to, well, then that must mean I'm not going to make it, because how is this possible that it's going so well, you know? But I'm just a worrier, I think. I had to tell myself that it's not like it's a premonition of some kind. It's just me being anxious and worrying, because I do have anxiety, and it's just me. But I can't wait. I can't wait for him to have a little girl. He deserves it so much. I just love him so much. And it feels so good to see him so happy. So that's it. That's it for week 35. We still didn't put the car seats in yet. I think we're doing that in the next couple of days. And we still haven't finished our hospital bags, but I've started gathering things and buying things. I just have to, it's a matter of putting it all together. I ordered a couple of nursing nightgowns, like the kind of nightgowns I feel comfortable being in, and got them a little bit oversized for the hospital, and a robe, because the robe that I have doesn't really fit me, and I wanted something that I could actually feel like was worth wearing and not feeling like a cardigan. I don't know. And I'm working on that, and we washed some baby clothes and started putting them away, and so we're getting there. Just little steps here and there. It's hard because now that I'm not working, I do feel like I'm really enjoying just resting as much as I can, because I know that this is my chance to do it, and this is when I feel like I need it. But I also get, like, you know, I'll get a second wind here and there, and then I'll accomplish a couple of things from my to-do list to sort of get us ready. But that's it. That is week 35. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I don't know if I said that in my last video, but I talked about it again now, so there. If you're in the United States, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.